Everybody, it is 6 p.m., so we'll go ahead and get started with the Planning Development and Zoning meeting for September 22nd, 2025. We'll start with roll call. Ryan Miller, that's me. Kyle Maraskin.
Here.
Marianne Atkinson.
Here.
Kenneth Haynes.
Here.
Christy Kennard.
Here.
Dolores Martin has not joined us yet this evening, and William Richardson.
She's at. She's always here.
Excellent. If I can everybody stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see. We don't have any public comment cards that I'm aware of, correct? No, okay. Okay. So up first on the agenda tonight, we have 3 public hearings. We'll hear a little presentation from staff before we start each one. So I will turn it over to y'all for the first one.
Good evening, Commissioners. This item is a rezoning request for about 2-acre tract at 7123 Gilboa Avenue, currently zoned light commercial with Highway 6 overlay district. There's a existing house on the site which was once a legal non-conforming residential use but lost the status several years ago. Light commercial zoning district does not permit residential use. Applicant advertised the property to sell but received no interest. Since highway mixed-use zoning would allow limited residential and agricultural uses, the applicant is requesting rezoning to highway mixed-use with Highway 6 overlay district in order to use the existing house as a residence for his staff and operate a small home lab for plant-based tissue culture related to his nursery business. Highway mixed-use district commercial land use allowance is similar to the light commercial district. About surrounding properties, north and south, there are undeveloped lands. East, there is a residential single family which is non-conforming. On the west, there is a church. Based on the zoning ordinance, properties within the zoning designation of highway mixed-use district must be located adjacent to at least one side of a state highway or farm-to-market road and must be within the 700 feet from the state highway or farm-to-market road right-of-way line. The site is within 700 feet of State Highway 6, but it is not directly adjacent to highway as required by ordinance for highway mixed-use zoning. A detailed staff analysis is provided in the report. So the request would create a single highway mixed-use tract surrounded by light commercial zoning. While the proposed uses are low density and the comprehensive plan supports mixed-use development along major corridors, the request does not meet highway mixed-use district locational requirements. As mentioned, the zoning ordinance requires highway mixed-use properties to be directly adjacent to a state highway or farm-to-market road, making the subject site inconsistent with the highway mixed-use criteria. The notice of public hearing was published and sent to the property owners adjacent to this property, and no inquiries or opposition have been received. Based on all of these and details that provided in the report, staff is unable to recommend approval of this rezoning request.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so we'll open the public hearing for this. So let me read this. To hear input from the public regarding an ordinance of the City of Manvel, Texas, amending the zoning ordinance of the city by changing the zoning classification of a certain tract of land being 2.066 acres located at 7123 Gilborough Avenue, being lot 1 through 12, Block 24 of Dr. A. Luther subdivision of Manvel in Brazoria County, Texas. Volume 1, page 71 of the plat records of Brazoria County, Texas, from light commercial district to highway mixed use district, providing for the amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, and providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation of any provision hereof. So with that, we will open the floor for public comments at 6:05. Yes, sir. If I can just get you, state your name and your address for the record, and then tell us what you have to say.
My name's Stuart Martin. I live at 7516 Palmetto, adjacent right to this property. I also pastor Church of the Harvest on the other side of the property. But the main thing I want to bring out about this is that whenever I was on part of the zoning committee at the first start of it, and then later on I got off of it. But when we first started that, we wanted to make sure that the city retained its, value of the zoning. That's why they zoned all this commercial property. We had a chance to buy the property at the time whenever they bought it. But I called down here and asked the city, now, can I turn that into a rental? And because I have rental homes. And they said no, that it has to be strictly based for commercial. And I said, would they give a variance or rezone it later on? They said no, because they want to keep the city commercial and bring this, revitalize it back down. And it's so close to downtown that if you're going to revitalize it, how many more rezonings are you going to do to let other people come in here and do stuff that they want to do? So anyway, that's my comment on that. And I would just like to see it stay, zoned as it was permitted for the city back whenever they did it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments for this public hearing? Second call for public comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'm his wife,
Okay.
Betty Martin, and we live at 7516 Palmetto on one side of the property, and the church is on the other side. And I just want to say, I agree with my husband. This is like the old downtown Manvel, and that's why they zoned it originally for light construction, and we're growing with leaps and bounds. So we just have a firehouse subs right across across the street on the north side, and anyway, there's just all kinds of businesses coming in that I would think would take all the way to the railroad track eventually. So we think it should stay like it's originally zoned, and that's light commercial.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Second call for public comments on this? Yes, sir.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good to see you all. Anyway, I'm actually a partial owner of this property, and it's my mother-in-law. She's almost 70 years old, actually the owner, but with her health conditions, she cannot be in here. We bought this property in around 2000, and of course, we thought that she's going to move in there, but of course, city's restrictions because of the commercial, zoning, she was not able to move in. Now she's actually living different places. The thing is, definitely I don't want to be the reason for my neighbors or anybody lose their value of the land. Definitely not. But this is a very beautiful, nice, 3-bedroom house there, sitting there, and no use. I try to do some gardening every now and then. Definitely I do maintaining there. And this house got robbed twice at least. And of course I reported to the police department. So without no use of the house, eventually it's going to fall apart. So I was asking that, if it is possible to any use. So recently, not recently, almost a year now, I started doing, bought a business, which is a nursery business. So there is a part of the business I'm actually thinking to the, tissue cultures, which is like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not. Basically, it's light. You use very small part of the plant and use growing the light in there. So I thought maybe my nursery is in the Liverpool area, almost like 18 acres land over there. And so I was thinking maybe this is the right place. And because the workers can live there, people has to be always there to monitor it. There's no chemical use, nothing there, just basic light. You put in the light on the glass jar and things grow. After discussing with your city, of course, your employees, and I figured out, of course, we come to know staffs, and we come to know that this tissue culture, it fall under basically residential, not really commercial. So I'm in the situation, of course, I really like to use this property. And once again, it's a nice house. And as you know that the rentals, everything's go high nowadays. And we're just wasting our asset. And more importantly, when people don't live there, you get sometimes I found one of my door actually broken now. Because people go in there, stay there maybe, I don't know. So 2 times we got stolen, my bicycle got stolen. So based on all scenarios, I thought maybe this would be the right approach, look for the mixed use, which means like, of course, my understanding is you can use commercial or other purposes too. I'm not sure actually how much it's going to affect for your value of the land. I assume that it is a good option. You can use both way. Because since it is a back right now, and bought this port almost 5 years now. It's right now 2025. I don't see actually much development on that side. And yes, we're developing a lot in 288 side. I don't see on this side. I put it in the LoopNet because hard.com does not allow it to put the commercial rentals, and we did not. One of the neighbor, he approached me for making the small dog rental place, or not dog clinic type things, and I said, yeah, sure. Then he didn't ask me again. I called him back, hey, do you want to, what was it, you want or not? He said, no, we are not, my partner did not agree with that. So basically that's it. Most of the people, they call us to live. So this place is to live, not to really commercial yet. Once again, don't really want to be burden for my neighbors or anybody's. I'm just bringing my, a proposal. If there's anything I can do to bring this property to at least use this property for monetary issue or for my current business things. So that's pretty much I have. If anybody has any questions, please I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do one more call for public comments. And final call for public comments on this public hearing. Okay, we'll close this public hearing at 6:13. Okay. Tell us a little bit about the next one.
This item is a request to amend an existing specific use permit for a 1.24 acre tract of land located at 22303 Highway 6. Subject site currently zoned light commercial with Highway 6 overlay. The site is developed with 2 existing buildings and associated parking. In 2022, the property was rezoned to allow general automotive repair and body shop in the east building, subject to conditions. The applicant now requests to amend the ordinance to also allow tire sales and installations, classified as NICS code 441340 tire dealers. The tire use will operate only as a supporting function of the existing auto repair business. No tires will be displayed or stored outside, and no new development is proposed. Staff has reviewed the request against the comprehensive plan and the SUP approval criteria. The site is located along the major commercial corridor, which is Highway 6, and the use is compatible with surrounding zoning and land uses, and no adverse impact are anticipated on traffic, utilities, and nearby properties. Notice of public hearing was published in the newspaper and sent to the property owners adjacent to this property. No inquiries and opposition have been received. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Two conditions: no outside display or storage of tires, and second condition is for all other conditions from ordinance approved in 2022 remaining in effect.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. So let's read this one. To hear input from the public regarding an ordinance of the City of Manvel, Texas, amending the specific use permit established by ordinance number 2022-0-14, allowing NAICS use number 81111, general automotive repair, and NAICS use number 811121, automotive body paint and interior repair and maintenance, with conditions to include allowance for NAICS use 441340 tire dealers with conditions for an approximate 1.24 acre tract located at 22303 Highway 6, Manvel, Texas, being land situated in the HT and BRR Company Survey Abstract 231, Brazoria County, Texas, zoned light commercial district, State Highway 6 overlay district with specific use permit, providing for the amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, and providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation for any provision hereof. So we'll open this public hearing at 6:16. And call for public comments on this hearing. Second call. And final call for comments on this hearing. Okay. We'll close this public hearing at 6:16 as well. Okay. Go for number 3.
Good evening, Commissioners. The request is for a specific use permit for a proposed car wash along Highway 6. The subject site is .8275 acre portion of 3.6 of a acre vacant tract located in the south side of Highway 6 in Manvel. It's directly across Manvel Town Center, HEB, and just west of Chevron gas station on Highway 6. The site is currently zoned light commercial with State Highway 6 overlay. The applicant, Greg Murray, with White and Water Express Car Wash, representing the property owner HJR Highway 6 LLC, is proposing to develop a tract with a car wash facility. The property will be subdivided into 5 reserves to accommodate both the car wash and future retail development. The car wash is classified under NICS code 811192, which requires an SUP in the light commercial district. The proposed facility will operate daily from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., offering both car wash, and vacuum services. Surrounding areas, there's Manvel Town Center, including HEB, gas station, and car wash. And to the south and west is undeveloped tracts within the town center, Manvel Town Center PUD. East is a vacant lot and the Chevron gas station. There are also several other car washes in the vicinity, including HEB and Valero nearby 288, Rich's Car Wash currently under construction near Starbucks, and another one on Highway 6 near Little Rascals Daycare. Staff is concerned for certain land uses. However, car washes currently do not have spacing requirements. Access will be from Highway 6, subject to TxDOT approval. A 25-foot public access easement is required along the north side of the site, and utilities will be extended from Manvel Town Center. Drainage will be served by an off-site detention pond approved in 2023. Currently, the site has no water or sanitary sewer connections. The developer will be responsible for extending these utilities from Manvel Town Center across Highway 6, and then sidewalks, landscaping, screening, and parking lighting must meet the city standards. Staff has evaluated the request and has considered that is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and also the proposed is compatible with the light commercial zoning district. Potential traffic impacts will be reviewed and mitigated through TxDOT driveway by permitting and compliance with the city access requirements, and utilities, drainage, lighting, and landscaping must be provided in compliance with city codes. Staff finds the request consistent with the comprehensive plan and surrounding land uses. Staff recommends conditional approval. The conditions are listed in the staff report, including compliance with city codes, provisions, and access easements require landscaping, fencing, and a minimum of 18 parking spaces, and light controls. If y'all have any questions, the applicant is here today to answer any questions.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so we'll start with the public hearing portion, and then we'll have the discussion portion a little bit later. So we'll start with, by reading this here. To hear input from the public regarding an ordinance of the city of Manvel, Texas, amending the zoning classification of approximately 0.8275 acre tract of land out of and a part of a called 3.661 acre tract of record in the name of HJR Highway 6 LLC in Brazoria County, clerk's off file number 20250100977, said 0.8275 acre tract being out of a part of tract 37, section 71 in Immigration Lane Company subdivision in book number 2, page 81. In the Brazoria County plat records, generally located along the southern side of State Highway 6, the second parcel of land to the west of the Chevron station located at 17230 Highway 6, Manvel, Texas, across from the Manvel Town Center. From Light Commercial District, State Highway 6 Overlay District to Light Commercial District, State Highway 6 Overlay District with specific use permit for the granting of a specific use permit with conditions to authorize the use of property for NAICS Code 811192, car washes, providing for the amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, and providing for a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation of any provision hereof. So we will open this hearing at 6:22. And yes, sir, step right up, give us your name and address, and tell us what you think.
Donald Atkinson, 7425 Jordan Road. Been in a lot of these here lately and listened to the city and stuff in their budget meetings and cutting everywhere. We got to do something to start getting some businesses in here. And, it's up to y'all, I know, to get the right zoning for them, but we got to start somewhere on that side of the road. We can't keep just with the Chevron. It's got to get developed somehow. So hoping y'all will pass this so we can at least get something started on that side and get the other businesses moving in there soon. EDC's invested in part of this, so come on, let's get businesses going. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name's Jake Baker, and we're coming up next, I think, in our proposal. And this is a really big part of what we're doing. It's very integral into getting our development done, which you'll hear about in just a second. We heard from us a couple of weeks ago. So we certainly hope that y'all will allow this to happen so we can move forward on our development.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's Drew Donoski with Claymore Engineering, 3231 Harwood Road, Bedford, Texas, 76021. Sorry, we just moved. I just wanted to let y'all know I'm the engineer on behalf of Whitewater Car Wash. We also have ownership here with Whitewater Car Wash, and I assume we'll have an opportunity to give our presentation and speak during after the public hearing. But I wanted y'all to know we're here in support of the project, as well as EDC and the property owner. So thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Any other comments for this hearing? To second call for public comments, and a final call for public comments. Okay, so we'll close this public hearing at 6:24. Okay, moving on. We have our consent agenda, which consists of just one item tonight, which is approving the meeting minutes to date. Take a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Pick
She
one.
said did the motion, so I did second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Okay, on to the regular agenda. Agenda item A is going to be consideration and possible action to forward a final report recommending approval to City Council. And this is going to be for the first public hearing that we heard about tonight for, correct? Yes. So we've already heard our presentation on it. I think we've heard from the applicants already. So what questions do y'all have?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand the single family, like commercial. This business, since they're not actually going to be doing anything except living in the house and putting light on plants, would that not be considered like commercial by any chance? Or is it because it's a business?
So, Commissioner, so light commercial does not allow a residential use. So this property has an existing house. It was used residentially several years back, and then it lost its legal non-conformance status when we had rezoning because for a long time it was unoccupied, it was not on the market. And I think when the current owner purchased it, it had already lost the legal non-conformance. And like he said, he's been trying to make use of the property, and most of the interest he's been receiving is for residential use. And right now, he does have that component, which, based on NAICS categorization, it does not fall under straight allowance within a commercial district, but it is allowed within highway mixed-use district, which is what he's proposing. But the big piece is the residential use. For that, it is not allowed within LC. And his proposal is to have one of his staffs live there and do the tissue culture part, the home lab part. So LC would not allow that proposal, but highway mixed use will. But like the report and Ellie's presentation highlighted, it does not, the highway mixed-use district's intent and locational criteria is for properties that are adjacent to highways and farm-to-market road. It's close to Highway 6, however, if you go by the text of the ordinance, it doesn't fall under the intent, even though it's similar in terms of land use allowances, and that's why staff is not able to recommend approval.
So if it was just for growing, then that would have been okay, correct?
Unfortunately, even that, I believe, is the allowances within residential district. It falls under the crop production kind of land use. So even for that, you will have to have either a HMU or some sort of a residential zoning designation.
What other questions y'all have?
So essentially, this piece of land needs to just be, like over there, there's like, I know that what other businesses are right there by them? I know that further down you have like there's a doctor's office, there is a car repair shop, there's a gym, things like that. Those are the kind of businesses that would need to go into that.
Right.
Okay.
And this is not along Highway 6, you have Highway
it's one
6,
street back.
Rogers, and then this street, and it is almost one full block south of Rogers.
And there's no other residential homes over there?
There is, actually. I think the speakers at the public hearing, they live on the property next to it, I guess.
They look like they live like in a house near the church, right?
Right, and their situation is similar to this in terms of
It's never lost its permit.
it does not,
and continues living there.
the continuous use allows them to continuously stay. Now, in the applicant situation, even though there's an existing building, the legal non-conformance status doesn't apply anymore.
But that should have been known at the time of the purchase of the property?
I believe so. And I'm not 100% sure if the applicant knew about it.
Yes, sir, please.
You turn your
Get
mic
your
on.
There you go.
Oops.
One more time. There you go.
Now you hear me?
Thank you.
Okay. By the way, my name is Mohammed Alam, and I live in 57 Atascadero Drive, Manvel, Texas, 77578, which is actually a rodeo farm, and been living here almost like now 15, 16 years almost, you know. Anyway, so the questions comes to is, we bought this property for my mother-in-law to stay there. And the owner, last owner, of course, he died, passed away. And the Harvey damaged the house, and then they tried to fix it, and of course they fixed it. But the mother, actually, they fixed it for the deceased person's wife, and she did not moved in, and they put it in the market. So the letter we got from them is basically they're saying that the house never was abandoned. Basically, it was being always taken care. And so we believe that since it was never abandoned, and since I bought this property, I didn't abandon it either, and always taking care of the house, fixing this and that internally. So we thought that maybe this is not really the case, then that it would be really lose the status. It is the area is commercial. I totally understand that, but it is still holding its grandfathered status because it was never abandoned before. So I even went to Center Points and asked them actually, hey, did you disconnect any power line from the system? And Centerpoint came back to me, and I have actually a letter with me, even if anybody interested to see. It's clearly mentioned that they can go back 5 years, and not more than 5 years. I say that my investigation related to no disconnections has been taken place at 7123 Gilbert's, Manvel, Texas 77578 since at least March 2017. Our record do not go back any further in time. So this is from Centerpoint. So this place was never actually was abandoned. However, as total respects, Manvel, your staff comment in regards to saying that, what basis is, they say, no, there was some period of time it was disconnected the power, which could be long before Harvey or something. I don't know. I wasn't here. I didn't know anything about this. So we knew that it was a commercial area, but we did not knew that it lost its grandfathered status, and it is basically, to me as a normal person, it's kind of, we're in the city, it's for our own interest, right? I'm not asking for anything illegal, Basically want to use this property as what it used to be when it was never been. From my history, I know it was never abandoned. That's the only things, Once again, having the mixed use means as long as coming back to again this area is flourish again. Who want to go back to the residential again if it is like commercial is always a higher bill, I'm assuming, So just to me, actually, the place is not there yet, So last 5 years, I've been waiting over there, paying almost a $4,000 or $5,000 taxes every year. That's really burden for a 70-year-old person, And of course, no use of the house, beautiful house. If you go inside the house, you can see it. I think one of the member actually, I forget the name of the person he went with me actually, look at that, I said, it looks like a nice house inside. Though it is actually look like sitting on the block, but inside is very nice,
And the staff report includes the pictures of the house for you all to take a look at.
Okay.
Yeah, so without no use of this, anything, like your house, if you don't live in your house 1 year, please come back after 1 year. It's going to start deteriorating.
Yeah.
So last 5 years, actually, I'm just cleaning, cutting the grasses, trying to do something, maintaining the house. Now, actually, I feel like, it is not coming commercial as fast as we thought, at least on that side. So we thought maybe it is a good idea to just come to you say actually, maybe you find a way, at least to use the house, not to let this deteriorate, not the people living in there when I'm not there. Somebody breaking in. 2 times they break in. They stole my bicycle. They stole some of the stuff. So, that's the whole reason I'm here for.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And question to staff over there. So there, say this the right way. There's no way to, to review whether or not the period of time that it was the reason it lost its non-conforming status, whatever that event was, to go back and look, or
So going by the strict language of the ordinance, I think staff has reviewed that several times, even before we started here, and the outcome was it's lost the legal nonconformance. And the applicant has been in touch with the city several times in the past as well to see what other avenues are there. And this seems to be the most reasonable way to try to make use of that existing building. And like Ellie highlighted in the report as well, so in terms of a land use, since there is existing legal non-conformance, the residential use is already is there. It's not introducing a new use, it's just that based on the intent of the district and the fact that you have LC district surrounding the block, we're not able to recommend approval.
okay. Any other questions then? Ready for a motion? I will make a motion to approve with conditions from the report.
It wasn't conditions, it was just non-approval, not recommended.
So this is a rezoning, so there's no conditions. It's either rezoned or not.
Sorry, too many of them tonight. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. 5. And all those against? So it's 6-1, is that right? Okay, so motion passes 6-1. Okay, move on to our next one here. Consideration of possible action to forward a final recommendation approval to the city council, and this is going to be for our second public hearing, the general automotive repair, adding the tire dealer SUP. So we've heard the staff report. Does anybody have any questions?
They just want to be able to sell tires at their auto repair shop, essentially, right?
Correct. And just because,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
And it's really, because we're approving an ordinance, or basically a permit, but in here it says that they're not going to use it. I mean, where was it? No exterior tire display or storage is proposed. Not as a standalone tire dealership, but that's the actual 1340 tire dealers is actually that. So how is it even in there?
so if I understand your question correctly, the condition
It's
is
a little confusing.
outdoor storage. So what the applicant has indicated is that they'll store the tires inside, and there won't be display of tires right next to the street and things of that sort.
Can you share with me because obviously that's something that y'all put as a condition. I guess most tire shops do have those displays. So what is the concern that would be a condition on it, that, if you sell tires, if I'm a company that sells tires, I want people to know I sell tires. But that's,
Yeah,
what's
that's kind of
the
where
point? What's the point of that condition?
So it's partly the appearance, and there are some situations where the outside storage of tires can go out of control and not be in line with the intent of our outdoor storage and display ordinance. So if you all like, the condition could be changed to all outside storage and display should comply with city ordinance. That's something that can be added if you all are comfortable with that. So generally, the concern is the fact that if it's not limited, the outside display.
It doesn't look nice.
Not that, and also the fact that if not maintained correctly, it could also be hazardous in certain ways. So.
And when the storage are like the used tires, obviously that we don't want used tires piling up over there. So, and I know there's a service that does all that, but that for sure. But can we put something in there where maybe they can have one display at a time and maybe switch it out, but none of the used tires and no tires stored outside the building?
Yeah, and if Yeah, definitely that's an option if you all would like to add additional conditions to what's proposed by staff.
So when you say
Will
that
be
you
okay
can
with
add in there the staff ordinance or the city ordinance, what does that look like?
Can we read the outdoor storage requirements in the ordinance? I want to make sure we get it
No, I
correct.
appreciate that.
Rather
Thank you.
than say it off the top of our head, read it out to you. Yeah, just go ahead and read it for now.
Ordinance for open storage and display of items for sale. It's section 77-52B. It talks about boats, RVs, campers, jet skis, similar type of vehicles may not be stored in front of the front line of building of commercial and residential land use unless such items are for sale.
It would be item A.
A.
So the one section that we have is about open storage and display of items not for sale. Well, but in this case, it would be for sale, I guess.
Should be B.
So we do not have a specific section that talks about tires. So one of the items that we have is open storage and display of merchandise for sale or display is permitted only when incidental to a commercial or residential use located on the same property and must not be located in any required parking or landscaping areas and must be set back at least 25 feet from the front property line and 10 feet from any and all side property lines. Open storage and display of merchandise for sale or display on property located in the heavy commercial district may extend to the property lines. So it restricts it from being located on the parking area and landscaped area, and there is a setback requirement for which is 25 feet. So if you would like to add additional requirements like you mentioned, that is an option.
But would that would contradict what it says in there with no outside storage, so we'd almost have to swap them out.
For sale.
If that is the intent. Staff's recommendation, based on what the applicant has suggested, is that no.
The applicant doesn't want to display them?
The applicant is here, and they can
Okay, I mean, if they don't want to display them, then whatever. I'm just thinking, if I'm a business owner and I sell
I was
something,
just going like you, I mean,
Yeah.
you're selling tires, somebody need to know.
Yeah.
yeah. But you
Yes,
can,
ma'am.
you can clear us up.
Thank you. I'm Jincy Joes. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. It's a large space. It's a 5,000 square foot building. So to help you to approve the application, we don't necessarily need to store tires outside. We have ample space inside. And we want to convey that it's not going to be an eyesore where you have neon tires all over, is what we're trying to convey. It would help us in our marketing to have one or two tires outside and to include tire on our sign. So we would appreciate that opportunity. We're just getting started. They just moved in, the tenant moved in July. The business is just getting started, so we really need to be able to sell tires to do the business completely. So that's why we're amending the SUP to include the selling of tires. We would like to do new and used tires, but again, we don't need to be storing them in piles outside. We have ample space inside, but we would like the ability to display just for marketing.
So if you just had on your sign that you did automotive work and tire
right.
sales, but no displays,
Yeah, if we can we actually haven't put in even a permanent sign yet, waiting on what kind of the outcome of this. The company is called DD Automotive, so we would like it to be DD Automotive and Tire. That would help, as well as if we can put one or two tires just there, it helps, to bring people in.
But the outside storage isn't necessary, and that's what the
Storage,
city's
yeah.
concerned with, is the
Yeah, we
outside
don't need the
storage.
outside storage, and that could potentially be a complaint to neighbors. There is residential behind, and we want to be good neighbors. We're not trying to
So no storage.
We don't want to be an eyesore, is not our goal either.
But
But if we don't put it in
marketing
our
type.
ordinance, then it doesn't happen. So
Correct,
It
yeah,
has
thank
to,
you.
we can't, you may be a good tenant, but later on, I mean, we have to think long-term. We can't
Yes,
think
yeah.
short-term. And so,
And that is one of the reasons for a restrictive condition that was included.
Could we, if we put in just signage of tire sale, and then if they wanted to later come back to petition us to be able to display?
So they do have allowance for signage. So once this use is approved, they can apply for the sign permit and they can have the signage. There's no restriction to that as long as it is within. I think the condition stems from the fact that open storage of tire is not advisable. It's hazardous. So definitely storage should be inside. Now, even outdoor display of tire, I mean, you could consider restricting it to maybe business hours, certain locations.
Yeah.
The general ordinance limits it to, now, the general ordinance that we have applies to uses that do not require an SUP for the most part. And whenever there's an SUP required, you can build off of it, go more restrictive, less restrictive. So if that is a desire to allow it, you may want to include conditions or restrictions like the hours it can be displayed. But whatever it is, it should be specific so that we can take it to City Council as a recommendation and it's included in the ordinance. Otherwise, enforcement becomes tricky.
right.
So we could say, you can't have more than 8 tires out there during business hours. And for display, yes. And
Things
no
of that,
storage for that.
and strictly limit or restrict open storage, outdoor
Yeah.
storage.
And so the language that you have for the storage is sufficient. It's just whether or not we wanted to leave an allowance for some sort of a display during business hours or something.
So changing condition 1 from no tires shall be displayed or stored outside to just no tires shall be stored outside of the building, and then adding a secondary line there to cover the display.
Yeah,
Display.
display tires could be out during business hours.
Yes.
But do we want to limit that, though?
Yeah.
To say.
Or if we could
it
do a
doesn't-
permanent display, if you want to limit the number of tires, for example, like you suggested, 8 towers, or 8 tires, if that can just be part of our permanent display, and then that's what it is, so that we don't have to take the tires in and out every morning and evening. We don't need the outside storage at all, so I do want to be clear
So
on
you
that.
would leave the tires out when you're not in, like, not there?
Tires are heavy.
Yeah, I mean,
Because what if somebody takes them or, so.
that would be at our risk, I guess, if
Right,
someone takes
but-
them, or we could anchor them down, as
Maybe
long
we
as,
just
my
move it
understanding,
into
as long
the
as it's not.
office.
I know a lot of companies take them in and out quite often.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't say, because
I mean, if you can give us that flexibility, I guess is what I'm asking, in case.
I would prefer out during business hours and pulled into the office or pulled into the garage after business hours.
Okay.
I just think.
And then you have the option to or not, but
Yeah.
I don't want to restrict where you could never put tires out.
Right.
Especially if you're a business, you're trying to make money.
Right, and is
Y'all
that,
make money,
is that
we
our,
make money.
is that our operating hours, or will you?
I would
give
say
us a-
operating hours.
Operating hours, and then after that,
Yeah.
they're
Okay. Do you have any other questions for the applicant then?
So
No?
there are no restrictions on them displaying the tires from the inside of the facility, correct? If there's a window?
Yeah, that shouldn't be a concern.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so sounds like we need to craft a motion here. So,
No outside motion
so motion to
Approval.
approve, motion to
no
approve
outside
with,
storage.
yeah, with conditions, changing condition number 1 to remove the displayed portion, so it's just gonna be no tire shall be stored outside the building.
Right, and display
Adding
no more than, you want to do
a third condition.
8 and during business hours?
In conformance with the
Conformance
city
with
code.
City code. yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, which would be your setback and restrictions to the landscaped areas and parking areas.
I think that's what I'm getting, yeah, okay. We're happy with that? Okay. And do I have a second on that motion then?
I'll second.
Okay, and all those in favor? And any opposed? No. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, agenda item C, consideration and possible action to forward a final report of recommending approval to City Council. This is going to be for our car wash. So we've heard our city report. I think we have some additional materials here from the applicants. And I think they wanted to present something as well.
Would you need to?
Good evening.
Hello. Is the mic on? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Hi, my name is Steve Mathis. I am a co-founder and CEO for Whitewater Express Car Wash. We're here to discuss our development on Highway 6 in Manvel. It's obviously something, we started looking at Manvel actually 5 years ago, and we're unable to find a piece of property, and now we found a piece of property that we're looking forward to developing. Just a little bit about us. We are based in Texas, or actually in Houston, currently out of 131 locations. We've never shut down a location. Our type of car wash is what they call an express model, where people stay in their cars, go and use the vacuums, kind of post-service. I guess part of the reason why we wanted to be part of Manvel, and as I kind of sit here and look at I must call it a seal, of City on the Rise very much describes Manvel to us. Obviously, the city is growing very quickly, and we want to be here to be able to be part of the community and support the community in any which way we can. Again, we've been in business for 10 years. We're known for giving back to the community. Our actually very first location was in a city that kind of reminds me of Manvel, which was Tomball, Texas. So happy to answer any questions that you guys may have about us or.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, do you want to put this car wash in Manvel or Manvel?
Ooh.
Manvel is somewhere in West Texas.
I never know which one of my twangs show up since I grew up in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. They all kind of get mixed up sometimes.
Yeah, it's Manvel.
Manvel, sorry.
So you do want to put it here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Very much so.
So what do you say about the city's concerns with the concentration of car washes? We have another Rick's Car Wash, which is very similar.
Sure.
Right down the road, we do have, the little drive-through one at HEB. There's another one, like one of those spray, when you go and spray yourself. So, 4 car washes is a lot. And, our town is growing, but it's small.
One for every donut shop.
One for every donut shop, or what? One for every
car washes
not, as
always
long as
are
you don't have one
full,
for every gas
so-
station, you're in a good shot. You're in a good spot. But
Car washes are always full, especially at HEB.
I'm just
Unfortunately, I
asking.
won't be using your car wash because you have spinners on it. And I just like the spray.
yeah.
Okay.
But I like Valeros, I'm sorry. I like Valeros. But I know with going around and seeing, they're always full.
I just didn't, wanted to hear your thoughts on that because that is one of
Yeah.
the city's concerns. And
Yeah.
diversity, we want to develop our land and we like the idea of developing it, but we also don't want to develop 12 donut shops and,
And have a
we
bunch
don't
of
wanna do that.
vacant
We want
donut
some
shops,
diversity.
right, or no one there.
Right.
So I guess I can give you a little bit of the criteria. We look for a minimum of 15,000 people per what we call the express model. The city of Manvel, for what we have, shows 43,000, maybe not in the city, but that serves that area, and it's growing at about 12% a year.
Okay.
So we feel like there's actually excess population here
Okay.
for our business.
When you have 132, so I'm sure you can, or 131, you.
Nowhere to put them, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Excellent. Any other questions for applicant? No? No?
Y'all are local? Y'all are local?
Yeah, I actually live in Montgomery,
Okay.
but yeah, we are based in Houston. We have 24 other locations in Houston,
Okay.
but we have 131 across those 6 states.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you so much. Anybody have any other questions for staff or anything
I
else?
just want to look at the conditions again.
Okay.
There was several of them.
Yeah, if I look at the right page, I can read them.
I think it's page 8 has the conditions. Is that right?
I'm getting there.
Sorry.
Yes, that is page 8. So there were several, 10 of them in total. I believe most of them weren't just
Just
kind of
small things.
existing ordinances. So any changes to the presented concept site development plan required to conform to adopted City of Manvel codes and ordinances shall be made part of the construction plan and building permit review process. Subject site is required to provide public access easement along the north side as development progresses. Proposed car wash on the subject site must comply with all pollution control related requirements. Sidewalk shall be in conformance, section 62-113. Opaque fence shall be provided at the rear property line. Comply with all tree, landscape, and fencing requirements. Minimum of 18 parking spaces. Limitation on how far the lighting can reach off the property. And that's, I think, both of those there.
May I
And then,
ask one
can you,
question? What
I'm sorry,
were
hold
the
on one
yeah.
second, real quick.
Other choices.
Can we just clarify number 10 real quick? SUP shall expire if construction of the proposed car wash is substantially underway or completed within 1 year? Should that be not completed?
So that's a standard condition that we have for SUPs in general, but the condition says is that it's either complete or it is in the process of completion.
So not is deleted.
Yeah, there's a not missing in
complete.
there.
Even
Yeah,
if we
it
edit.
just says is completed instead of.
It says if it is underway, then it will expire.
Yeah, sorry.
So we need
Just to clarify.
So it's a typo.
I do have one
Yeah,
question.
They'd be like,
do
we
have
did all
one
this work
question.
and we lost our SUP.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What's your question?
In here, it says overall detention basin by others. Who's the others?
Well, there's the car wash.
Is that everybody?
They're just buying.
It's all three.
That's all three.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Just want to make sure I was clear on what, yeah.
Okay, any other
That's it.
questions about the SUP?
Nope.
Nope, okay. So,
Can make a motion to approve with the 10 conditions
excellent.
and
Second?
edit the 10th one to say not complete.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? And no opposed, so motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Let me find my paper. Okay. To the last page. Okay, agenda item D, consideration of possible action to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council. And this is a variance of the subdivision ordinance that we discussed last time and was tabled. So I guess we'll start with staff. Who will give us any update on this?
So I'm assuming that y'all have good recollection on the discussion from the last meeting. We had discussed extensively on the location, the project, some of the issues and complications. Staff was not recommending approval at the last meeting, but since then, like the markup of the data sheet says, the applicant has provided us with several information. They've indicated that the required right-of-way is also combined by the drainage district's maintenance berm-related requirements for the proposed development. Both of those combined will make the proposed development impossible as proposed. They've highlighted the fact that there's an offset between the right-of-way on the west side of their property line and on the east side. There's a 5 to 6 feet discrepancy, which makes it even difficult that even if they dedicate, the alignment will be off. And then they've indicated that the terms of the drainage district, the easement and the drainage district requirements combine, making the right-of-way dedication prohibitive. And they've included an opinion letter from their legal counsel. And they've also provided some detail, and they've provided an exhibit that was included in the packet that shows what various layers are included that makes the dedication prohibitive. And And like we discussed last time, the adjoining property, which is also proposed for a commercial development, and it's going to be a proposed bank, they will have to go through the same process. They'll have to dedicate the right-of-way, and it'll again come up as a variance request with that. Finally, they've talked about the benefits, the sales tax benefits that this proposed development will bring to the community. They're here with the presentation, and I think they can focus. They can highlight some of the issues. Would you all like to present something, mention to the commission, anything in detail?
Yes, sir, please.
Great. I thought maybe y'all got tired of hearing this a week ago Monday. Do you mind if I turn this around?
That's fine.
Okay. I gave you this plat today, this site plan today, that kind of going to say the same thing that I'm about to tell you. I just want to make sure, since I've lived this day to day and you guys have other jobs and are serving your city there, that you don't have the same opportunity we do to dive in all the details. So let me just briefly tell you what's going on. The red represents the low-use access driveway that is basically a aggregate driveway that serves the oil well. And I think I left all of you with with this. The one thing that I would ask, and I went on your website and tried to find what is the ordinance from the city of Manvel for any development in relation to the distance from a well, and you don't have it. And some cities it's a pretty good distance, in other cities it's not. I don't know what the city of Manvel would do. So that's one other consideration, is I really don't know what's going to be developed back here in relationship to that oil well. And Christy, you asked me last time about the relationship to the power line, so I made sure that this area will add that. So you can see that the property that we're leaving, Manvel 35, is kind of a shallow property. And I talked to Steve Chandler, who I don't know if Steve will even be involved. He's the project manager for the Manvel Town Center across the street, and he reiterated that they don't really have any thoughts about the south side of Manvel yet. So that's just some facts. So that's what that road is. And we come from our property line, and I showed next this kind of orange or beige line, and I showed that the request from the city was to come from the center line of the existing right-of-way, and we were to dedicate 30 feet. So if we were to do that, it would vary. It's 15 feet, 8 inches on this end, be 14 feet, 7 inches on this end. But you can see that that comes in quite a good ways, 15 feet, 14 feet into the property line, both across our property line, and I went ahead and put it on the federal credit unions as well. We did, again, just wanted to demonstrate, we did give the 10 feet on the north-south right-of-way. And Joe's just mentioned, even if you had, even if we could give you this 15 feet to 14 feet of right-of-way that the request is, it would still be a 6 feet, 5-inch offset from the right-of-way to the west, just simply from surveys. Because again, this all started in 1912. So that's kind of what this depicts, and this is depiction. The credit union has 2 site plans, and this is kind of their preferred option. And then this is Popeyes. This is our shopping center. This is the drive-through for Dutch Brothers. We have about 3,377 square feet left to lease in this space. And then this is the unbelievable express car wash, Whitewater. So that's what we have lined up here so far. Any questions on that? And then, Jake, if you'll take this, swap that out. Just so you know, we did go to BDD4 early on before we started this and said, hey, guys, are you going to give us a variance? And I included that. It's in your package, their denial. And it was kind of a funny denial because they gave everybody an opportunity to comment except till they got to that right-of-way. And they just said, make a motion to oppose. And they opposed it and said, you don't get a variance. And we were like, whoa, wait a minute. We want an opportunity to speak. And they just said, no, you need to go take that out with the city of Manvel. Wow. Okay. So on this one, the only really additional overlay that just shows something is I went ahead and overlaid the 30-foot maintenance, because we called Jared Aden at BDD4 and said, Jared, everybody keeps talking about this drainage easement and the impact that it would have if, in fact, we dedicated that to the city. And Jared said, any impact, if you make any new impact, you dedicate the land to that, then I want that drainage to comply with today's standard of a drainage facility, which would be half this land. Or I don't know how big it would be. It'd be tremendous. So it would render the whole site useless right here. So, because this would be the only portion of that drainage easement that's left, and it extends all the way here. You can also see that little triangle in the aerial photo that I brought. You want to kind of see the outline of it. It's there. So their drainage easement abuts the north boundary of our property line, and we simply don't have 44 feet to give up. It would render our entire development null if we tried to do that.
And I know there's been quite a few things already, right, with the pump detention and so forth to make all this arrangement possible as it is. Is that correct?
Whitewater's so important because we normally don't sell, but we have to sell because we need the money to build a detention pond, because, like I said, the walls on the pond themselves, and everybody's going to detain into that detention pond. Just to build the detention pond with the vertical walls is a $500,000 detention pond.
Very expensive, yeah.
10x what we normally spend on a detention pond. And then you get into things like where everybody's got to have a 2-inch water meter. Well, the city charges $60,000 for a water meter for a 2-inch meter. So it's another $180,000.
I get it.
Every time, it's just extremely expensive. And we think, and again, and I gave it to you again today, that the revenue that we produce for the city far outweighs the remote possibility of this road ever being put into place for a public road. One, because of where it is. And it's day one, conservatively, it's an additional $188,172 to the city's bottom line. So as a developer, I'd like to swap place with the city. That's going to be the bottom line. So, and we added up all the jobs, and again, none of this is including this 3,377 square feet we have to lease. And if you take all those together, that's about 38 jobs, again, conservatively off those jobs. And the sales tax number that I got off the 67,000 was the average in both of these. This Popeyes, this is a 138 store operator. This is not a 1 or 2 franchise operators. And Dutch is a public company, so and I took their lower sales volume as well.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. One.
Yes, sir.
With this, my only concern is, God forbid there's a fire or something, and they can't get in because of traffic or whatever, they need more fire trucks. Is there going to be a way for them to come off that side road and scoot across to, the far one or to the bank?
Are you talking about this limited access road?
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yeah.
There's a gate and it's locked.
Okay. Well, okay. So.
Now, a fire truck, you could probably blow through it if you wanted to.
Okay.
But I will say also that we have, I don't have the civil plans with me and our civil engineer's not here, but I do know that we're putting hydrants in because remember, we're bringing the water and sewer across the street. And I don't know if we've got 2 or 3 fire hydrants that we're bringing across with that.
And then my second question, Bobby or you, if Manvel does not need to take over that easement, they can take over the north-south running one. And if whoever owns the property tries to give us the east-west one, we can say, no, that's your driveway, correct? So if we did say that we're going to allow that, it doesn't necessarily put the burden on us, because the city council could say, no, we're not going to accept that. you all and whoever owns the drill site owns that and must maintain it. Is that correct?
I'm not 100% sure if I understand correctly, but if you're asking, I think that's how it is right now. The drill site currently owns and maintains that access. That's why they were able to put a gate.
And if they tried to give it to us, we don't have to accept it. You don't have to accept a gift, right? Okay, so that really is kind of a moot point because we don't need it. If we don't want it, we don't need it unless they're going to give us access to the other land too. So, okay. That was my two questions I had.
Any other questions for applicant? No?
I can't help it.
And then, thank you very much. We appreciate the extra information. And then just to clarify here real quick too, so there's more than one question on this, this item too. There's the dedication of the right-of-way, and then there's also the escrow of funds on there.
Correct. So on the escrow of funds, so like we had discussed at the last meeting, the dedication request, the applicant was requesting to waive that requirement, and originally we were recommending approval, but since our last meeting, the applicant has provided several information. Our city engineer has reviewed some of the previous plans and the situation with the easement, and we have the legal opinion from them, which talks about the complication in terms of dedicating without impacting the arrangement for the drainage. So we do acknowledge that there's several unique circumstances involved with this situation. So in general, without having good clarity on what happens to the abutting properties, adjoining properties in terms of development, staff usually do not recommend approval of abandoning right-of-way. And most of the times when we've agreed upon or made a recommendation of approval for abandonment of streets right-of-ways, there was always clarity on what's happening on one side of the street, what's going to happen on another side of the street, unless even in spite of development, it made sense to abandon the right-of-way. So because of that, we do our best to not recommend approval without having full clarity on what's happening in terms of development. And in this situation, the area south, which is within Manvel Town Center's control, they do not have a development plan. We do have the Kirby. So you know all the complications that we talked about. But with all the information, additional information provided, we do acknowledge that there's unique circumstances involved with this project. As part of the road construction, like we mentioned in the data sheet, since we do have that drilling site right now and the way it is existing, the way it is used right now, it doesn't make sense to construct their portion right now. So the request to escrow funds, we are recommending approval of that with the conditions listed in the data sheet.
Okay, so as the recommendation is here is still how you...
So my question is, if with the recommendations, if we just did not put in number 2, there wouldn't be a problem if we excluded number 2 and just said conditions of number 1 and 3 and exclude number 2, they would be able to build, correct?
So condition number 2 is just making sure that the proposed plat, whenever the plat is considered, they acknowledge that whatever variance was approved for the right-of-way abandonment and the escrow is reflected on the plat. So irrespective of that condition, it shouldn't have an impact.
So, but yeah, I'm just trying to exclude that the east-west one, coming up with one with conditions to be able, so they could do that, because to me, the only thing I see that really doesn't work is the east-west roadway, and that's a lane.
Well, that would be if we approve the request, then we're waiving that right of way.
Yeah, and the conditions mentioned right now only applies to the escrow of funds.
Right. Okay.
And if you approve the request for the variance to waive the recommendation that we would give to council is that you all have recommended approval to waive the dedication and to escrow funds based on those conditions.
Okay. Who else has questions? Questions over here?
Well, I mean, so the city's, it sounds like, I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like I'm not understanding, but I feel like, it sounds like the city's saying, oh yeah, we approve the request to escrow funds, but we don't approve the waiving of the right-of-way, but they,
Right. That's the way the recommendation is written. I think what Joe was saying is they understand there are circumstances here that are
right, yeah. we
odd,
understand it.
but there's no way they can, recommend it.
Well, they have to follow the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to be the human
Is
part
that
of it. They have
is
to
that the way I understand it?
No, and if it gives comfort, I mean, I can say that we do have unique circumstances,
Right, we understand that
which.
this piece of property is very unique, which is, I really appreciate, as frustrating as it was last time for us to put it off, I appreciate you taking the time to do your due diligence and bring this information back to us.
Right.
It just helps us to feel a lot more comfortable being able to make a decision. We don't ever like to make decisions that go against ordinances and city and thing like that, because we always have to think long-term. We can't just think short-term. Somebody's going to develop the property, whether it's y'all or somebody else later, and so we always have to think long-term.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate you taking the time and being patient with us so that we can make the most educated decision.
So if we do approve the waiver, though, they're still going to have to put in sidewalks and all of
Yes.
those things. So
And they'll be escrowing funds so that if it gets to a situation where, so you have your north-south right-of-way and along the south, whatever the existing, it's not a 60-foot wide, but depending on what goes on with development around, if there is a need to put something in, irrespective of them dedicating the right-of-way, the escrow would be used towards construction of street, sidewalk, whatever.
So we're not boxing ourselves in the future that we can't do anything.
Correct.
There's going to be a way to develop it later if something comes along.
Correct.
Which is the important part long-term for us.
And if, I don't know if you were asking what staff's recommendation was, is that what you were?
Well, it just seemed contradictory.
No, so, I mean, like I said, we do acknowledge that there's unique circumstances, so in a situation where we would recommend approval, it would be based on several of these unique circumstances. So if it gives you more comfort, I can definitely say that this would be a similar situation like this, staff would recommend approval.
Right. Based on the new information that we have.
Yeah, but with
all the conditions.
with the preface that usually we would not like to recommend approval of a waiver of right-of-way dedication when we don't know fully well what's going to happen. Like in the past, there's been right-of-way abandonments where you have a master planned community or development and the right-of-way goes right through it.
Right.
Or it's a situation where, irrespective of what happens, we know clearly that the right-of-way needs to be abandoned.
Right, absolutely. You always want to be careful when you're abandoning. Yeah.
What other questions do you have? Any?
So a motion to approve the waiver with,
Yeah, motion to approve with the conditions listed on the report.
yeah, I move for that.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? And all those opposed? Motion carries 6-1. Okay. And then, last big one here, consideration and possible action to forward recommendation of approval to City Council. And this is the one that was requested to be tabled by the applicant last time, and this was the Jordan Road asphalt in lieu of concrete. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure y'all remember this one too. This in the past, this is at the intersection of Meridiana Parkway, Jordan. Similar request, variance to not do one half of curb and gutter street and construction of sidewalk. However, the applicant is dedicating the necessary right-of-way on their side to widen Jordan Street. The applicant has a presentation, and then after that, I can talk about.
Okay.
Good evening, Planning Commission. Thank
This
you
guy
guys.
again.
How come you didn't convince him to get you first today? You ended up at the end.
I tried. Trust me. Yeah, we've been here, discussed lots of issues. This one's probably a little less impactful, but I think nonetheless it warrants a discussion. And so we wanted to bring it here and kind of bring it to you guys to think about and consider. So, and then I know Joe's or Ellie, I can't remember who, presented on it a little bit last week. So forgive me if I'm repeating details or you've already talked about it and asked questions. But basically what's going on here, Meridiana is in the development process for this area south of Jordan Road, west of Meridiana Parkway. It's roughly 20-ish acres of land. And what precipitated was the commercial plat, the Unit 16 commercial plat, which has already been approved. And the only condition was addressing this perimeter road requirement and sidewalk requirement. And in addition to that, we have recently submitted a plat for Section 16, which is due west of the commercial reserve. So essentially completes the platting process for this, we'll call it polygon shape, east of the Briscoe Canal, south of Jordan, west of Meridiana Parkway. And so there's two variances that we're specifically requesting here. One is to not build Jordan along Meridiana Parkway as a concrete curb and gutter road, and to not build sidewalk along the portion of Jordan Road abutting the Meridiana project boundary. I understand the approach. Long-term planning, by all means. I mean, that's what I do. We're always long-term planning, and I think sidewalks are great. Meridiana by no means has any issue with building sidewalks. We've built a lot of sidewalks in Meridiana, but I think this specific situation requires some nuance and just listening to some of the many reasons why we have put forth this proposal. So what we would like to do is, instead of building half of a concrete curb and gutter road, which is the city's requirement, and a sidewalk, is to repave all of Jordan Road along the required frontage of the Meridiana project boundary, which is 975 feet. So we think, and I don't know if I need to convince you all that this is a good plan, but I think it's a really good plan. It solves a lot of issues for residents in the area. It fixes this road. I don't know how often you guys drive on it, but it's not in good shape. It's pretty worn, and I think some of the TxDOT construction caused a lot of furthering of the damage on it last year, the year before that. So it serves a purpose of cleaning up this condition, also being a good, new, clean road for the commercial site to use. There'll be a driveway on Jordan Road. And so to do this, though, it leaves in place the existing infrastructure, which is the open ditches, and doesn't provide that curb and gutter section, which is typically when you would put the sidewalk. That's that precipitates adding a sidewalk, is when you build the curb and gutter. So if you have a space between the road where the open ditch is, it's already further off the project. There's issues with that. So what we're proposing is to not build the sidewalk for several reasons. But the main driver here is the fact that instead of building a infrastructure challenge where you have half of a concrete road, half of an asphalt road, that's in terrible condition. The north side would be in bad condition. To rebuild all of it, mill and overlay that 975 feet with the construction of the Section 16 plat. So that will be, or Section 16, that will be in the next 12 months. And so here's a summary of the reasons why it makes sense, in our opinion, not to do the sidewalk. I just kind of touched on some of this, but quickly, there's constructability issues, several of which I've already addressed. We want to preserve the existing neighborhood character. It's a sidewalk to nowhere if we build it. There's additional maintenance costs. The long-term maintenance of this sidewalk with the improvement of Jordan Road doesn't match up. It creates additional conflicts for safety, and that's something that is of utmost importance for the developer of Meridiana. And it's just a little inconsistent with the Briscoe Canal project, with the fact that there's no sidewalks at the new bridge at Briscoe Canal. So I mentioned some of these constructability issues earlier, and feel free to stop me if there's any questions. I think it might be easier if you have immediate questions as opposed to kind of trying to circle back. But so some of the constructability issues are those roadside ditches, and this is a picture out there right now. It's about a 3.5-foot roadside ditch, so it's pretty deep. So the fact that we're not installing curb and gutter requires that these sidewalks be placed on private property, which is it was something we want to avoid. Joseph mentioned we have done it before. We've done it in Meridiana, but we would prefer to put it in its permanent right-of-way location. And we are dedicating that 30, I believe it's 20 to 30 feet of right-of-way to bring Jordan Road to its ultimate right-of-way width. So it's going to be further back beyond that. So it's going to be pretty far set back off the road. Not that you wouldn't be able to see it. It'll be there. But it doesn't feel like it's a part of the road for Jordan. And then this area, as you are likely aware, is pretty deep in the floodplain. It's the zone AO3, so it's basically 3 feet below where it needs to be to not be flooding in a 100-year event. And so to remedy that situation, as much of Meridiana has been remedied, we're putting a lot of dirt on it. And so because we're not building the ultimate curb and gutter section, we're not raising Jordan, we have to grade back down to the natural grade of the right-of-way of the curb of the open ditch. And so you're going to have a pretty steep slope where we're grading down from the pad site and down from the section back down to the open ditch area, and that's where the sidewalk would be. So again, this isn't something that we can't remedy. We can build a sidewalk on a slope and potentially have it tabled and deal with like erosion issues when it rains and that slope, the dirt's coming and creating mud on the sidewalks. We can do that. It's just, I wouldn't recommend it.
That makes sense.
Preservation of the neighborhood character. So this image right here is where the sidewalk would end, right in a resident's essentially front yard. If that was my front yard, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want basically encouraging pedestrian connection to my front yard. That's just me. It's also out of place. There's not any other sidewalks along Jordan in this area. Now I know, planning for the future, you won't have sidewalks if you don't start. But as is mentioned in the staff report, there's no intention to improve Jordan. This is Clark. There's no intention to improve Jordan in this area anytime soon. It's not on any capital improvement plan. And so basically you're just going to have a sidewalk out there kind of just floating. And then the last thing on this one is the lack of visibility. And I'll get into it a little bit more on the next slide. But there will be a fence line that backs up to Jordan, and then where the sidewalk would be. And then you have a few acreage home sites. And so there's really not going to be a ton of eyes on Jordan and on any of the activity on this sidewalk if it was to be constructed. And so another thing where I wouldn't want that in my neighborhood, there's no benefit to having that sidewalk there other than you're just encouraging potential nefarious activity. Or maybe this one resident likes to walk over to our commercial pad site. And, there's small benefit, but limited for the public in general. All right, so as I mentioned, we're no enemy to sidewalks. So there's already been 35 miles of sidewalks built in Meridiana. And really, there's a real schematic plan for these sidewalks, a real intention on having them go places. And so the idea is these sidewalks, our trail system provides access to the pedestrian, to any site a pedestrian needs access. So school, park, anything like that where there's going to be pedestrians walking. We want to make sure that there's a safe route to get to them. And the purpose is to connect residential to these pedestrian locations. So as you can see on the site plan, this is section 16 that I just mentioned. We're going to call it Rosewood. There's not a driveway onto Jordan Road, and so there's nowhere for a sidewalk to kind of loop back in to the Meridiana development. It's, again, just in basically people's backyards. So in addition to the detraction to the existing neighborhood, I don't think that these future residents in Section 16 will want the sidewalk in their backyard for the exact same reason. There's a fence, it's a foot or two below grade, essentially down, and you're not going to be able to see what's going on essentially in my backyard. And so, yeah, it offers no pedestrian connectivity. Quickly on this one, so there will be maintenance costs. As we know, the soil moves around. So you're going to have a sidewalk out there that could require repairs over who knows how long before it has to be replaced. Because of the nature of the lane use out here, it's unlikely that Jordan's going to be improved anytime soon, as I mentioned. And so by the time this ultimate section is built, if it ever does get built, it's likely that this sidewalk needs to come out anyways. It may be in bad shape. The joints are going to be up and down, and it's just not something that provides a lot of benefit to the taxpayers when you're asking to have crews where there's tons of sidewalks, and this is something that the city's keenly aware of, is making sure that there's a maintenance fund for these sidewalks. And so if there's going to be a prioritization, there should be a prioritization of sidewalks that provide benefit to residents. And then, like I said, one of the most important, if not the most important thing that our developer is concerned with is safety in Meridiana. We heard the testimony, so to speak, of the resident who said that they were in a accident at Jordan and Meridiana Parkway at the last city council meeting. And to that effect, when the developer was told that, he committed on the spot, he said, let's do something about it. And so, provided that the warrant analysis and the engineering allows for us to put stop signs at Meridiana Parkway, that's what they want to do. And so that is going to be included with the Section 16 plans, regardless of the outcome of this variance request. Those stop signs will potentially, hopefully, help the area. It's difficult to get across. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It is challenging, especially at busy traffic times. So I think that's going to be a better scenario for the traffic in this area. But to that effect, another way that we can help address safety issues is preventing a unnecessary pedestrian conflict area with the future driveway that'll go from the Unit 16 commercial site onto Jordan Road. There's going to be a driveway there regardless, and if we're having pedestrians potentially cross it for little to no benefit, they may not know that there's a dead end. Maybe there's a sign that says dead end sidewalk, but there's no benefit for them to cross that other than turning back around. Maybe they're just trying to get steps in, something like that. I don't know. But having one less area where there can be pedestrian automobile conflict is a win, in my opinion. And then the last thing is just the Briscoe Canal Bridge that was just recently constructed. Nice new bridge. There's no sidewalks there, and so I don't foresee a time at any point in the near future or in the long-term future where there's a sidewalk that crosses the canal here. And so even if we build this sidewalk, and even if the 3 property owners, it's approximately 7 acres of land, somehow develop and choose to build the sidewalk, that sidewalk's still going to end at this bridge crossing. And so it's still going to be a sidewalk to nowhere. So we were just asked for fair application of the policy. I know things change and cities' policies and staff, policies change, but we think that it's a fair request to ask to not build this sidewalk. And that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Please.
So, the way I understand it, there will be a driveway off of Jordan and Meridiana to get to the commercial site. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The proposed driveway from Meridiana will have a sidewalk to Jordan?
Yes. So
So you
right
just
now,
won't be going Jordan down?
yeah. Well, it'll actually go all the way to Highway 6. So right now, you can see if you drive. It's
Right.
dark now, but you can
Right.
see there's a sidewalk that's being constructed or staked, and they're getting ready to build it. So there will be a sidewalk that connects from Highway 6 all the way to 288, a trail basically along Meridiana Parkway.
And you had mentioned something about a traffic study for a stop sign at Meridiana and Jordan.
I don't know if a traffic study is needed. I'm just.
I
I don't want to
say-
say it's happening. I'm not the one associated. That will be a.
It is a
Joe's
little
and
bit
Dan
difficult
question.
to get across. I think with the commercial units coming in, it should kind of cut down that high vegetation, so it would
Yeah.
help people see there. And I was asking because they are counting cars on the other side.
Okay.
So that's why I was wondering if they were going to do that. Okay, thank you.
What other questions y'all have for the applicant?
I just have a comment. I kind of wish we would have more shoulders on some of these roads. I know you're in the middle of rebuilding and you've seen them.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I don't even know if that could be even requested in the future on some of this to increase the width of some of these roads.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that.
I mean, even if it's only like 2 feet, it would be different for a bike ride or, yeah.
They would have to lay pipe in the ditch to do it.
Yeah, that's,
What other questions y'all have?
and
Nothing for the applicant? Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very much.
So commissioners, this is, again, one of those unique situations. Like previous meeting, we did mention that we do not recommend approval of a variance to not build a sidewalk. We did recommend approval of the proposal to redo the Jordan Street on both sides with asphalt. And the reason for not recommending approval on sidewalks is because from the city's standpoint, sidewalk is an important infrastructure amenity for the community. We have to start sidewalks at some point, and we have to make sure we are able to connect the dots, even though sidewalks may not be able to go. Maybe it's not going anywhere right now, but eventually it would. And in the past, we've had several sidewalk variance-related requests where there were these connectivity issues where we were talking about connecting homes with schools, and we had to make a recommendation of recommendation to require sidewalks rather than waive it. But like the applicant presented, some of the instances here, there are some unique circumstances involved in this situation compared to some of the other situations that we've had in the past. We do acknowledge that, and we do agree with some of the things that the applicant mentioned here, but as a matter of principle, we would still want to say that sidewalks is really important for our community here. And depending on how y'all are going to recommend to the city commission, city council, and the decision that the city council makes, staff will start looking into the whole sidewalk issue with a finer tooth comb to see if we have to take a graded approach of a certain approach for a certain situation where the sidewalk requirement as it would apply to a existing right-of-way where street is not built versus where there is an existing asphalt, where there is right-of-way dedication needed versus not needed. We'll start looking at that so that moving forward, when we have these sidewalk-related variance requests, we are able to better help you with recommendation, and y'all will have better tools, so to speak, in coming up with these recommendations for city council. Because right now, sidewalk, it's just one standard requirement that applies to perimeter roads and existing streets. So based on that, we are not recommending approval, but I would definitely mention that we do understand some of the difficulties associated with this particular situation compared to several other variance requests from the past that we've seen.
So one question for you here, since there's already kind of a proposed site plan for this corner lot, is there a sidewalk along the Jordan Road side, at least along that commercial corner there? No. Okay. And that's approximately, 300 feet, so about a third of the distance? Okay. What other questions y'all have for staff? No other questions? Do y'all have I couldn't remember the word. Do you have a motion that you'd like to make, or a variation that you would like to suggest versus just approve or disapprove? Has everybody gone home already?
I'll make a motion to approve. I don't think I need to put any.
Can I just make one comment before y'all decide? So right now on the data sheet, if you see, the recommendation has 3 conditions. The first one pertains to allowing the applicant to do mill and overlay the existing Jordan Road. The second condition pertains to the sidewalk. So the original condition, and since we recommended not approving the sidewalk portion of it, it mentioned adding the 5-foot sidewalk. And then the third one was about the expiration of whatever variance is approved. So depending on what y'all's decision is, the second condition will have to be either included or excluded with your recommendation.
So if we wanted to go along with what we discussed with, what Brad shared today, it would be more like a recommendation to approve with conditions 1 and 3.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, is that the motion?
Just knock out number.
That's my motion. Is that better?
If that's what y'all choose to.
So we have a motion to approve with conditions 1 and 3, condition 2 excluded. Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
Second, all those in favor? Motion carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and all opposed. Dos. 5-2. Motion carries 5-2. Very good. Okay, Development Services Staff Update, agenda item F. For the big finish.
So I don't have it pulled right now, but the update document that was included with the data sheet includes some of the pre-development meetings that we've had and some of the certificate of occupancies that were issued. And if you take a look at it, we did not issue any new build commercial construction this time frame from the last meeting, or the last meeting when a development update was provided. In terms of certificate of occupancies, we had a restaurant that we issued a certificate of occupancies for within Manvel Town Center. And we had a few pre-development meetings. Again, like always, I would highlight that we do not have any guarantee that these would become a project, but we did meet with the applicant group that was here for a SUP for a hotel. They discussed a proposed hotel from the property right across from where they were previously proposing. We did meet with the Infinity Clinic. They discussed to see if there's opportunity for expanding their existing lease space to the other area within the building. And then we did meet with a property owner who is either, I'm not 100% sure if they own or they're planning to buy, but it's a 10-acre land next to Valencia, and they just met with us to see what their options are, and we discuss all possible options from zoning to subdivision and all of that. We did have a group that was looking at the Manvel mattress location to put a use that includes some sort of indoor-outdoor family fun type use. And then we did meet with the group that is proposing the community convenience store and gas station at Meridiana and Jordan Street, which is something that was already determined by the Meridiana PUD. So we didn't have a whole lot of activity, but that's some of the development activities that we have. I would also like to encourage you all to visit the website. We have an interactive map that we keep updating that tracks some of the new developments, some of the plats that you all approve. So it'll show the location, it'll show you the plat. So it's a good way to keep updated in terms of what's going on development-wise. The other couple of things I would like to mention is that October 6th, City Council meeting, we'll have our consultant present their update on the comprehensive master plan and major thoroughfare plan. It's most of the stuff that was discussed with y'all. They would present it to the council to get their feedback and input as well on those things. So if there's an opportunity, feel free, please attend that so that y'all can stay updated on that. Yeah, we can definitely email. And then if y'all are already tracking the city council meeting, y'all would already know, but our Public Works building, the construction will resume on that pretty soon.
Wait, you said the people that wanted to build the hotel off of like Cemetery and Large are now looking to do it across the street?
Across from Highway 6, yeah, on the other side.
South side,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And we had initial discussion, and whenever they get to a point where they have design and everything, and when they submit a SUP, it will come to y'all for recommendation again.
Excellent. Okay, one last thing. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor? Motion always carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight.